Right, I think we are ready to begin. A very warm welcome to all of you watching. Welcome to this MedTech Innovator Asia Pacific information session, whether you're watching us live or whether you are watching us on demand. My name is Frederick Nyberg. I'm the Managing Director for MedTech Innovator based here in Singapore. Joining me are my two colleagues, Bernice and Eilert. Bernice heads marketing and events here in Singapore, and Eilert is senior director for global programs based out of our US office. And we also have the pleasure of having Sachin Dubey here, CEO and co-founder of Module Innovations, one of this year's cohort companies, and in fact, one of our 4 finalists this year. And we'll hear much more from Sachin in just a moment. Just quick recap, this is an information session for any startup that is considering applying to the 2024 Asia Pacific program. We will talk about what the program entails, what you can expect, what some of the benefits are, and of course, you will hear directly from Sachin how some of the benefits that hopefully he had from the program through the course of the year. Before we begin our chat with Sachin, I will share my screen and we'll do just a very quick introduction and overview to MedTech Innovator for those of you who may not be familiar with who we are and what it is that we do. So again, warm welcome, and contact details will come at the end of this program. If you do have any follow-on questions, for those of you who are joining us live, you're welcome to ask those questions during the Q&A towards the end of this session. If you are watching on demand and you have any questions, there will be an email address. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions at all pertaining to your application for 2024. So MedTech Innovator is the world's largest accelerator for traditional medical devices, digital health, health tech, and in vitro diagnostics. We are a non-profit organization, and we're headquartered out of Los Angeles, just off the UCLA campus. And the photograph that you see on this slide was, in fact, only taken 2 weeks ago or so at our grand finals here in Singapore at the Suntec Convention Center. This is our 2023 cohort of companies holding up their checks and the awards, as well as many of our corporate partners. So unlike a lot of government linked, locally, nationally focused incubators and accelerators, we are entirely driven by the industry and our industry partnerships. So the logos that you see here at the bottom of the screen are some of the corporate partners that we have been working with and we are working with. They do not just provide financial support of what we do, but they play a very integral role in the entire program, in reviewing applications, in providing judges for our judging panels during our pitch events, and they also provide corporate mentorship during the accelerator. I'll come back to that in just a moment. So if you're keen to be up on this stage at the end of 2024, do stay on and let's stay until the end of this recording. MedTech Innovator, as I said, the world's largest accelerator. We have well over 500 reviewers, judges, and mentors globally. We're now in our 11th year of operation globally. In Asia Pacific, we are entering our 6th year of operation. We've been running this now since 2019. It does comprise of a 4-month virtual accelerator. We'll talk more about that in a second. And we are targeting slightly later stage companies, but still, if you are either at seed, pre-series A, right up to Series B and Series C, you are very welcome to apply. If you are still essentially a research project at a university and you haven't spun off into a legal entity yet, you're probably a little bit too early. You do need to have a legal entity set up. So seed through to Series C, we have a number of companies that are later stage that may have raised $20, $30 million at a Series B or beyond. And they would typically join us for the network that we provide. For the help that we can provide in terms of helping them scale and expand globally, and of course the network to strategics and many of our corporate partners. We do give away 300,000, well, in excess of 300,000 US dollars in program awards. One winner, this happened just 2 weeks ago, walked away with 175,000 US dollars in completely non-dilutive funds. Globally, we have well over 600 companies that are now part of our alumni group. 95% of those companies are still active or have been acquired, so there are only 5% that have ceased to exist, and that's a very high success rate, of course. Of these 600 plus companies, they've gone on to raise 7.2 billion in follow-on equity funding. There have been 45 outright acquisitions, and approximately a third of the companies that apply generate revenue. But the majority have maybe 18 months to 2 years or so to commercialization. Some are earlier stage, some are later stage. Whether you are still doing preclinical work or whether you are generating revenue doesn't really matter all that much. You're still very welcome to apply. We have companies at all stages of development. This is typically how the program works. We are now open for applications for 2024 and will remain open until the 31st of January. We typically in Asia Pacific have between 400 and 500 applicants every year. Of those applications, we will then select the top 50 or 60 companies that will get invited to pitch. And you would get invited to pitch either in person or virtually. Again, we'll come to that in a second, how that works. And that typically happens through the time period February, March, and April. And we will then select out of those 50 or 60 companies, 20 companies for the accelerator. It's a 4-month program. 4 or 5 finalists will then compete for the grand prize. And you'll hear from one of those finalists in just a moment. And one grand prize winner will walk away with $175,000 in cash. There are a number of other awards as well, but this is how the program works. In terms of dates, I mentioned the 31st of January deadline. And March through to May is when the pitch events take place. We then kick off the accelerator in June in conjunction with our MedTech Innovator Summit in San Francisco. And I'll ask Isla to talk briefly about that in just a minute. But do mark the dates. It is the 12th and the 13th of June. And we do invite all of our cohort companies in the Asia Pacific program to join us for that event as well. July through to October is when we run the accelerator, and 5th and 6th of September 2024 is when we will host the showcase and the grand finals here in Singapore at the Asia Pacific MedTech Forum, and that is done in partnership with the local trade association, APAC Med. So this photo was from the Innovator Summit in 2023, and I'll ask Isla to talk a little bit about what that summit is all about and what companies can expect if they do get selected and invited to join us next June.
Of course. Thank you, Fredrik. So the Innovator Summit, what you're seeing here in this picture is really just a nice gathering. That is, it was a brief pause in the busy schedule of our 2-day official kickoff event for all of our programs. So that would include the US MedTech Innovator program, the Asia Pacific MedTech Innovator program, and the BioTools program, which is focused on the biotech side of the house. All of those companies and partners come together, and mentors come together to a 2-day event in San Francisco. Frederick mentioned earlier what is the unique value of a MedTech Innovator. Having those strategic corporate partners as part of the program, working with the companies one-on-one, and having a robust network of over 600 alumni that are all that have all been through that journey that you are going through right now as developers and innovators of MedTech technologies. This is the value of that robust network. This is what we would like all of you to be a part of, and this is what the summit is about. So the summit will have, and as it had in past years, workshops specific for topics in commercializations that are led either by industry experts from our ecosystem that you see here, or specifically by alumni that have been through that exact challenge and can help navigate those waters. And then keynote speakers, of course, other sessions that are specific to each of the programs and focuses on the specific markets that each of the programs are focused on, and more and more. A lot of networking time. Really importantly, the Innovator Summit also is adjacent to, and this is by design, to the Wilson Sonsini conference, as Frederick mentioned, and all of our companies will have an opportunity to showcase at the Wilson Sonsini MedTech conference. So this is in a nutshell, our Innovator Summit. This is, I know Frederick mentioned it, but just to kind of reiterate this, the Innovator Summit will be June 12, 13, in San Francisco, and you will be notified if you were selected to the cohort. You'll be notified a few weeks in advance to attend the summit.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Eilert. And Sachin, who will be joining us in our chat here in just a moment, will tell us a bit more about what that experience was all was like when he attended it earlier this year. Very quickly about the accelerator itself and some of the key components of that accelerator. There are really two key elements here, in addition to what Eilert spoke about here in terms of resources and community and recognition and visibility and all of that. And one part of that is the educational curriculum that we put together in terms of cohort-driven webinar series of where we invite experts both from Asia Pacific and from the US to talk about topics relevant to the startup community here. Another key element, of course, is the corporate mentorship, and this is an opportunity for our founders and CEOs to work closely with our corporate partners and mentors that come out of their organizations. What I should mention here as well, and again, I won't go through all of this in detail, but I did want to mention that as a program, we are a non-profit, and we therefore do not take any equity in any of the companies that participate. We do not charge a participation fee. So the only thing is that it will take a little bit of time for you to fill in your application online. That's the time you need to put in, but there is no need for you to give up any equity at all or pay us anything to be part of this. We're also agnostic to geography, so we have applicants that are part of our Asia Pacific program that have applied from New Zealand and from Sri Lanka and from Taiwan and from Mongolia and from Estonia and North America as well. We'll come to that in a second, but it really doesn't matter where you are geographically located. If you have if you're either geographically located in Asia Pacific or have a strategic interest in Asia Pacific. You may be based outside of Asia Pacific, but working on solving a problem that addresses an Asian prevalent disease, then this is the program for you. Or if your key market of focus may be China or Japan or Australia, then again, this is the program for you. So I spoke a little bit about this, what differentiates our program from other programs out there. It's really about the resources. It's about the community, not just the community interacting with our corporate partners and strategics, but with the investor community, both in Asia and in North America, as well as with the alumni network, and being able to interact with your peers, not just here in Asia Pacific, but through the MedTech Innovator Summit, to be able to interact with your peers, other CEOs and co-founders out of companies in the US and in Europe. And of course, mentorship, and we spoke about that at length, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. This is just to give you a flavor of the types of topics that we cover with our webinar series. So they can range from health economics and communicating value, to manufacturing and supply chain, to how to raise capital, to commercialization and attracting talent and building advisory boards. So really it covers a very broad range of topics. And for each of these, we bring in leading global experts that are very familiar either with the Asia Pacific markets or with the global markets to join, and you have an opportunity as a participating cohort company to ask questions directly with our panelists and with our speakers. Finally, these are some photographs, again, just taken 2 weeks ago at the Grand Finals and the MedTech Innovator Asia Pacific Showcase here in Singapore. So we do have a separate showcase stage where all 20 cohort companies have an opportunity to present to the audience attending the event. Now, just a quick recap. Applications are open. The deadline is 31st of January. Please do not wait until the very last minute. One of the reasons we are hosting this webinar today in December is to give you ample of time to gather your resources, go online and see what's expected. It's going to take you a little while to fill in the application. So do make sure that you log in, start that process early so you don't have to scramble for pieces of data and information that the application asks for. But that is the deadline. And whether you are applying to the MedTech Innovator US program, BioTools Innovator, or Asia Pacific, the deadline is the same. And as I mentioned earlier, if you are geographically based in Asia Pacific or working on or have a strategic interest in Asia Pacific, then this is the program you should apply to. Now, I've spoken enough. I'd like to invite Sachin Dubey to join us now. Sachin, of course, is the CEO and co-founder of Module Innovations, one of our 20 cohort companies in 2023, now an alumni company, of course. And Module Innovations was, in fact, in the final four, among the final 4 finalists. 2 weeks ago here in Singapore. Sachin was also at the MedTech Innovator Summit in San Francisco. So Sachin, warm welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I will perhaps stop my screen share here and tell us a little bit, introduce yourself very briefly, introduce us to your company. What is it that you do? And then we'll talk a bit more about the MedTech Innovator program.
Thanks, Frederick, and thanks, Silent. As told a bit about Module Innovations, my name is Sachin Dubey, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Module Innovations, which is based in Pune, in India. Module is largely working in the space of precision diagnostics for infectious diseases. Our focus is also on the much larger and grander problem of antimicrobial resistance. So yes, I mean that's the larger space module operates in, and we're trying to make the current diagnostics as fast as we can.
Very good, thank you. And Sachin, how did you find out about MedTech Innovator to begin with, and what made you decide to apply?
Well, I think my story would be confidence booster for those who apply again. And I say that applying again has its own merit. So we did apply to the program earlier, but of course, I think because of the strength of the program, the selection criteria, we also felt that yes, we need to move one level above to make the cut in the program. Of course, then we did raise funds, move the technology even further, and then we did also have some companies in our cohort, in our network, who were part of the MedTech Innovator, and they spoke highly about the program. So it was kind of connecting the dots from our previous application. Also, being very highly rated by the other companies who were part of my network, and the kind of merits they derived. So yes, I think all in all, these were some of the factors that motivated us and Team at Module that yes, we have to be part of this program.
But you bring up a really good point there, Sachin, that you had applied earlier, and I have to say we have a number of companies that apply again. Some have applied multiple times, and they go up winning the competition. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Eilert, I think the winner in the US this year, or maybe last year, was a company that had applied twice before.
And not for the first time. So
right.
Absolutely. It's also one of the questions coming up here from our audience online. So thanks for addressing this, Sachin. I think this is a really important point. We do. One other thing I will add, if you are applying again, if you're considering applying again, you can reach out to us for feedback. We have a robust network of reviewers, that are industry experts that are looking at your applications. That can be anything from strategics to investors to just experts in specific, with specific expertise that are relevant to your company and to your innovation. They provide feedback, and some of it can be available to you. That in and of itself is really valuable, and can help not just improve overall your commercialization strategy, but also improve your application for the next time you apply. And so if you have applied and are considering reapplying, feel free to reach out. We're happy to provide feedback from previous application and help support you and increase your chances. So otherwise we wouldn't have had the honor of having Sachin here. So
great point, Eilert. Thanks for that. And of course, bear in mind as well that if you are considering applying or reapplying, and if you applied previously, over the years, sometimes our corporate partners change. And if you applied 2-3 years ago, we may not have had a corporate partner on board at that point in time that was specifically interested in your innovation and your technology. Doesn't mean that it's no good and it was outright rejected. It just meant that we didn't have a strategic partner that would be able to provide the right mentorship. And now we may have that organization on board, and therefore do consider reapplying. We have a number of companies that reapply over the years, and they go on to be very successful. So Sachin, turning to you again, you made the trip to San Francisco back in June, and it was great to see you there. And I should say to those watching this session online is that the MedTech Innovator Summit in San Francisco has been going on for a number of years. It's just that 2023 was the first time that we extended the invitation to our Asia Pacific cohort, and we'll continue to do that going forward. So our alumni for Asia Pacific going back to 2021, 22, and earlier, they never had this opportunity. So Sachin, tell us a little bit about your first impressions of the summit event in San Francisco and what you got out of that.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, Patrick, because we in this cohort, I think I feel glad that we were the debutants, the first people to attend this conference in San Francisco. And I think for companies who are coming primarily from Asia Pacific, it also opened up a lot of opportunities to see the kind of work being done in the US. Also, the overall 2 days, as I had mentioned, was a break from the routine, and not just a break from the routine, but being with like-minded people in terms of the startups, in terms of the investors, in terms of the corporates who were there. So all in all, I think I felt those 2 days very enriching. Not like the 2 days of the conference, which was also followed by Wilson Sonsini. So it was again a great opportunity to showcase what you're doing to the larger investment community out there. Also to see, what is the kind of work being done in the other sectors and also in your space. So yes, I think I felt that it was a good start, and I'm glad that it is going to continue. So definitely it was a worth experience for me, like those 2 3 days of being with the like-minded people, showcasing your technology, seeing the ecosystem was very, very wonderful.
Great, thanks, Sachin. We, of course, hope to have many more of our Asia Pacific cohort participants join us this June in San Francisco. And just to recap, the dates are the 12th and 13th of June. So the MedTech Innovator Summit is really, or the Innovator Summit really marks the kickoff of our accelerator programs, not just in APAC, but in the US as well. So then the accelerator began, and the two key components of that we've spoken about, the mentorship and the educational webinars. And Sachin, turning to you again, what was your experience during that period of time? Some of your feedback on the interaction that you have with your mentors and the educational webinars and whether or not they brought value to some pressing questions and issues that maybe you were grappling with.
Right. So all the people who are watching, I want to emphasize on this point that unlike several other accelerator programs, this program is very, very customizable in the format that the program of, the coaching, the educational content that is shared. Again, one good feedback I want to share, with the San Francisco. So I'll continue with this question, but I just want to put that point. Like we had an opportunity to interact with Frederick there. All the Asia Pacific companies sat separately and thought, what are the pressing problems each one of us will be having. So, points were noted down. A formal thought was created that can we have sessions or webinars on those lines, which were like very common problem for many of us. And we found that they were included in the educational series that was created. So again, this was a phenomenal step, I would say. I mean, I have not seen any accelerator do that. So again, kudos to the MedTech Innovator team on that. Now, I think coming back to the thought that how was the mentorship program, all the educational content. So I think I felt it was very, very well curated. And for most, I would say most of the startup, all the topics are actually very, very relevant. Particularly if I talk about module innovations, we want to actually set up an entity in the US. What are the legal compliances? We're also trying to set up, the manufacturing facility either to do it on our own, tie up with some CRO, something like that. So many of these questions got very well answered. Yes, I think we were fortunate enough to work with two wonderful corporate partners, Siemens and Jabil, and both like people, Sham and Jim were excellent. I mean, working across the time zone is not only difficult for us, but difficult for them as well. So I really, really appreciate, people taking out time at odd hours. So I felt that it was again a very strong point of the program that you were connected with people in the industry who have been there, done that, seen many, such cycles of products coming out, getting failed, the challenges. And, it's like hearing from the horse's mouth directly. So it was very, very useful for module innovations particularly. And I think this is one of the strengths, if I want to put up, if I want to just put one key strength. Of course, there are many strengths of the program, but this is one very good strength that you get to talk to mentors who are industry experts. It's very, very valuable, I must say.
Very good. That's great feedback. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Sachin. So just as a reminder, the accelerator is 4 months. In 2024, the grand finals will take place a little bit earlier than normal, and our accelerator is expected to continue until early to mid-October. So of course, at the end of the accelerator program, we then invite all of our cohort companies to Singapore for the grand finals, as well as the showcase there. And this is what happened just 2 weeks ago, and we shared some of the photos a moment ago. So maybe Sachin, still fresh in your memory, you just recently got back from Singapore. Tell us a bit about that experience, and I know, of course, it was rainy season here in Singapore, not the best of time to do sightseeing, but from a business point of view, how was the event? And maybe give us some of your thoughts on how that experience was.
Oh, yeah. So I feel that, throughout the 4 months of the accelerator, and even before that, when you go to San Francisco, it keeps building the excitement of the final grand finale or the showcase that is going to happen in Singapore. So I think personally, I was very excited to be a part of that stage. Nevertheless, I think it opens up a lot of opportunities in terms of gaining good business contacts. Again, like it a very similar event where you get to meet a lot of investors, also a lot of industry peers, also a lot of like-minded startups and other companies in the sector. So I think that the event is, of course, very well curated. Again, in terms of what should be there, it gives you enough opportunity to showcase your technology. So the showcase that happens allows all the 20 cohort companies to pitch in front of the audience, and it's a very relevant audience. It's not a general audience. It's a very relevant audience that understands the work that you do. The gravity of and the importance of that work. That I feel is a great opportunity. Again, because there are a lot of larger corporates, I like personally, to me, I mean, we did make contacts where we are now talking further, with strategics, and of course, for many companies, strategic acquisition or an M&A is an exit. So it opens up, that kind of an opportunity. Of course, it is also upon you how you go and talk to these companies. But yes, it does give you that chance and opportunity to collide the energies. You get to collide with a lot of companies who could be potential players who can either acquire a company or give you kind of a strategic input. So all in all, I think it was a wonderful experience in Singapore, and I personally like to I personally am a good, I feel, to give good talks and speeches, and presenting at the grand finale was again speaker's delight, I would say. So if you are part of those 4 or 5 finalists, it gives you an opportunity to pitch to even larger audience, and it is a phenomenal experience. Winning or losing, it doesn't matter, but yeah, it does give you the opportunity, and a lot of people would come and talk to you. There could be future synergies, future opportunities.
Great feedback. Thanks for that, Sachin. And just to be clear to everyone here, that the grand finals where Sachin presented, and you were one of 4 companies that were among our finalists, that was in the main plenary hall in front of an audience of about 800 people, 800 to 1,000 people. And of course, because of our partnership with APAC Med, which is the Asia Pacific Medical Technology Association, many of their board members are there. So you would have in the audience the Asia Pacific presidents, not just from our corporate partners, but they would be there from companies that are not our corporate partners, but good contacts to have anyway. So the APAC president from Terumo, the Asia Pacific president from Stryker, or from Roche Diagnostics, or from many other organizations. And also, just to recap, the 4 judges that were up on the stage with Sachin, and were to whom all the 4 finalists presented, were the Asia Pacific president for Siemens Healthineers, Vitran. It was the Asia Pacific president for Teleflex, Praneet Mehrotra. It was the Asia Pacific head of research and development at Johnson & Johnson Vision Care, Beaton Katrani, and it was the head of operations, Christian Kapishke, Asia Pacific at B. Braun Medical. So these are very, very senior level executives, and not only do you have an opportunity to present to them, you obviously get a chance to have a chat with them after, whether you win or not, to have a chance with executives at that level. And to be completely honest, I don't think there are a lot of other events, if any, in Asia Pacific where you have the opportunity to interact with senior level executives of that caliber. So just thought I'd mention that as well. Before we move on, just a quick reminder to those of you who are on the session here live that you may queue up your questions in the Q&A. Otherwise, I'll turn to Eilert in a moment, and Eilert has a few questions as well. So we'll make sure that we get those addressed. So Sachin, overall, if you look at your involvement in the program during this past year, how, if you were to single out a couple of key things, how did it help Module Innovations and yourself? And what were some of the key benefits to you and your organization?
Right. Yeah. So let me begin by highlighting the program in one word for module. It was enriching. Now maybe I'll expand the word enriching. So of course, like many tech companies, there are certain issues in terms of the regulatory compliances, which are very critical for medical device products to come out. And we did utilize the opportunity to interact with the corporates that we were connected with. So again, I think one good part of the program was that we did mention our requirements. Of course, there is limited bandwidth, but the MedTech Innovator team does try their best to patch you up with the best mentors that can fit into your industry. So we were very, very much fortunate to be connected to Siemens, Healthineers, and Jabil. Of course, they helped us, answer a lot of questions in terms of our regulatory approach for the larger Asia Pacific market and also the US market for the product that we are building in AMR. Again, some of the issues in terms of manufacturing, the do's and don'ts, the cautions that, this is where things might fail. Of course, with the limited experience that we have, they brought in those expertise. They were prudent enough to bring people across the board. And although they are very busy people, but we did also engage equally with them. Had multiple meetings. So I think one of the strengths of this program was getting connected to these mentors. Of course, we did also get the opportunity to build contacts from the San Francisco event, the Singapore event, talk to a lot of investors. And it also, brought the creative side of us when we made this video. So maybe I think Frederick will mention that program also has a component where you make a 1-minute video highlighting the strengths, the USP of your product and the company. So it was fun event in the sense, but yes, it also brought, the video actually allows you. It's like a pitch, I would say, 1-minute pitch without you talking directly. It communicates the message. So again, this was something which we never thought of doing, but we did as part of this program. So it panned out well. So yes, I mean, all in all, I think there were many good experiences. I think if you are involved equally into the program will reward you more. So take the most out of the program. The mentors are great. The sessions are very, very well curated and wonderful. And I think this is what I would say as one line of message, that your involvement into the program will give you the best reward that you.
Very, very helpful, Sachin. Thank you for that. And thanks for bringing up the point about the 1-minute video. I didn't have time to cover that earlier, but for those of you watching who are interested in watching some of these 1-minute videos, they are all available on our YouTube channel. So there is a MedTech Innovator Asia Pacific playlist for 2023 where you can look at all of the videos, including the module innovation video, of course, that Sachin was part of creating. Very good. Well, thank you so much,
And
Sachin.
specifically, I
Go
want
ahead.
to
Yeah, please.
recommend, specifically just wanted to recommend to the audience, go watch Module Innovations video, which was fantastic. So
Module Innovations did in fact win the best video competition, and there was a reason for that.
reasons.
So do take a look at that video. So thanks, Sachin, so much for joining. Any final words of advice to people who are maybe still sitting on the fence, not quite decided yet whether or not they want to apply for the program 2024? Any final words from you to those startups?
I mean, I would say that I will highly encourage people who are in this space to apply. One thing that I just forgot to mention, I want to put it up here, that you meet a lot of good alumni companies. So post, the event that we had in Singapore and the San Francisco event, I am in touch with a lot of founders, and you get a lot of valuable advice. Companies are at different stages, and if you are at an early stage, slightly earlier, maybe you're raising your Series A, Series B, you get phenomenal amount of advice, which is worth, I would say, a lot of money. So I think one of the, again, strength of this program is that people across the spectrum have been there, done that. So if you're part of this program, you become an alumni, you get to access these wonderful people. Not to mention the fantastic team at MedTech Innovator. So yeah, do consider, highly encourage, highly recommend.
Great, thank you so much for that, Sachin. And good point there about the alumni network, and it's really, we encourage everyone, all the participating companies, to very much stay in touch with their peers and the alumni network. And it's, as you say, we do have the Slack platform where you can stay in touch on the Slack channels and other informal ways of keeping in touch. But it's a great way of asking questions. If someone can recommend a CRO that does this or that in this market or in that market, or if someone has a view on how to approach reimbursement in this particular segment, or if someone has previously pitched to this particular investor and can give some insider tips. There are all sorts of questions that I think can be and are being discussed within that peer network and the alumni network. So I can certainly see that being very valuable. Thanks again, Sachin, for joining us. Ayelet, you have a few questions that you wanted to clarify, and you
yes onto my
yeah.
Before we jump onto my favorite part of the sessions, which are questions from the audience, I'll just add on to what you said, Frederick and Sachin, just on that point of communicating with the alumni. Really, this is a terrific network of like-minded innovators that are a step away from you once you become part of the MedTech Innovator ecosystem and body of alumni. And then Frederick had mentioned, our Slack channel and more informal ways to connect. More on that and formal ways to connect. We are building ways to strengthen those relationships and to have to facilitate the relationships between alumni across the programs, within the program, across the different years. So that you can really be a message away from innovators in the medtech space, at your fingertips, really. So, and this has, as Sachin said, such a high value that I really want to emphasize, and so we will be helping facilitate that even further in the years to come. So stay connected, everyone.
Absolutely. Let me just share this slide as well before we wrap up. So for those of you who have not been to our website yet, you can just simply use this QR code to access the application page.
All right. On to questions. So
Questions.
let's look at some of the questions here that we have. And the first question I think that we should probably address are, am I eligible to, I won't read the whole thing, but am I eligible to apply if I have X technology at X stage of development? So maybe let's kind of generalize that and talk about what are the eligibility criteria to apply to the program. You want to start, Frederick?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, in terms of stage of development, seed stage through to Series C, all welcome to apply. So said in terms of focus, it is traditional medical devices, health tech, digital health, and in vitro diagnostics. If you look at our cohort 2023, you'll see some companies are pure software companies, selling software as a service, or mobile apps. Many of them are traditional medical devices, interventional devices with an AI component or without an AI component. And we have a number of different technologies represented in the in vitro diagnostics side. So broad range of technologies. There are no real limitations there other than biotech and biopharma is a little bit outside of our scope. If you are on the biotools side, we encourage you to look at the biotools program in the US. And ILAT would be the right person to talk to about that. But in terms of stage of development and in terms of specific focus, no particular restrictions, and as we've said earlier as well, no real geographical restrictions. So if you are based in Asia Pacific, of course, do apply to the Asia Pacific program. But if you are based elsewhere and Asia is a particular priority market for you, or you are working on an Asian prevalent disease, then again, more than welcome to join our Asia Pacific program. We have had a number of companies from outside of Asia Pacific be part of our program. We had companies this year from the US, from Israel. We've had companies in the past from Switzerland, from the UK, from Canada, from Estonia. So it doesn't really matter where you're based.
Fantastic. Thank you, Frederick. I'll just add that in case of any doubt, if you are unsure which program should I apply to, should I apply to the program? Am I ready for this? We are happy to help sift through that and kind of understand with you if you're at the right stage, if you're ready. I would say there's no such thing as too early, to be honest. As in any case, you can minimally get feedback from submitting your application, as Sachin described earlier, and I feel like it's a win-win. You are encouraged to apply. Some of you we might find too early, and we will say too early and come back again next year if it's within the scope of the program, as Frederick described. But in any case that you have any questions, you're unsure, please reach out to the team. You have an email address here, or you can feel free to reach out to either one of us to ask any questions that you might have, and we can help kind of triage that and understand what program you should apply to, or if and what you need to do to apply. Same goes for technical questions that you have on the application itself. So if you start an application and you have a question, oh, how should I be answering this? What kind of file do you need me to add? Anything like that, we are here to answer. We also have the support email that we can drop here in the chat. If you could drop it in, Bernice, we are happy to help with any of the application stages. So that is just on that. Another question that I think it's really important to answer, for everyone here on the call, and it's a really good question. Thank you for submitting it. How do you choose companies for the MedTech Innovator cohort? So what are kind of the criteria for choosing companies? You want to start, Frederick?
I can. In fact, I may even have a slide on this. Just give me a second. Bear with me. So we have a number of selection criteria, and what we've tried to do, because we're working with so many reviewers that are not only our corporate partners, but we have reviewers that come from the investor side. We have reviewers that come from academia.
Hi, Alec. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I think I'm unmuted now. I think we may have lost Frederick, right? All right, there's a connection issue. Then in lieu of Frederick's slides, so I'll just answer the question. So as Frederick started saying, we have multiple reviewers, multiple perspectives that come into play in the evaluation process. I would say big picture, there are three big things that we look at when we are evaluating startups. These are the value, execution, and momentum. And so we really kind of look at, there we go. Here's Frederick's slide, speaking just to that.
Apologies for the...
No worries. And so
earlier.
the value of your innovation, right? Is there an unmet need? What is the product itself? What is the innovation in your product? How strong is that innovation in terms of intellectual property and protection? Is the business model feasible? So all of these would go to what we would largely call the value of the innovation. There's the execution, right? So outside of what is the value or the need of your innovation, there is the team that can pull together this technology and bring it to market. What are the actual steps and plans and product roadmap that you have that will make it feasible to bring this technology to market? Even what sorts of funds you have to be able to bring this to market. And not all companies needs the same amount of funds or have them right away. Don't feel like you need to have a few millions in the bank. That's not the point. The point is just knowing that you are able and have runway to execute on the advice that you're getting in the program. And that you're able to get to the next milestone. And then momentum, right? So outside of value and execution, what is the momentum? We look at the momentum that you have as a company, what kind of traction you've been able to achieve, what is the response from potential customers to your innovation in that space. Frederick, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you covered that very well, Isla. The only thing that I wanted to add here is that we try to be as objective as we possibly can with this evaluation, because we do have evaluators that are not only from our corporate partners, but also from the investor community, from academia, and other industry experts. So we want to obviously try to be as objective as we can when they do that evaluation. It is an online evaluation, and that's why obviously we're asking you to complete a number of related fields in your application. But as Isla mentioned earlier, if you've got any questions on any of those fields, not quite sure what to upload or what information to provide or what question we're asking, feel free to contact us on the contact email that you see here, and we'd be more than happy to help.
Fantastic. Maybe one last question as we're coming up to the hour. Can you clarify what parts of the program are in person? So again, just kind of overall, the program is virtual. The program itself is virtual. The accelerator program, the 4 months program that Frederick was describing, is virtual. It is bookended by in-person events either throughout our road tour and pitch events. One of our pitch events will be in person, and you might be invited to pitch in person depending on where you're based and other factors and the number of spots that we have. You might be invited to pitch in person as part of the selection process. You might be invited to pitch virtually. Again, multiple factors that come into that. However, if you are selected to the program, so the kickoff event, we talked about the Innovator Summit. This is the formal kickoff. This will be in person in San Francisco, and companies accepted to the accelerator are expected to participate in that and should participate in that to provide value to them. Of course, and then at the end of the program, we have the finals event in Singapore at the APAC Med conference. So again, book-ended with two in-person events, but you do not need to relocate anywhere. And throughout the program, the entire program, the educational curriculum, your work with the mentor, everything is virtual. So I hope that answers that question.
Very good. Thank you, Eilert.
Bernice, any other questions coming from the YouTube stream that we would like to answer? Maybe last one, if we have any other questions?
No, we don't.
No further questions?
All right.
Okay, then we will wrap up. So thanks, Eilert, for dialing in late. And Sachin, again, a big thank you to you. It was great seeing you again. And as you know, but maybe people on this webinar may not be aware, as an alumni company, you have a standing invitation to attend all of our MedTech Innovator Summits. So Sachin, we hope to see you in San Francisco this coming June, if not before then. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you to all of you listening in and watching this information session. Thanks, Bernice. Thanks, Eilert. And if you do have questions, as we've said earlier, do reach out to us. The email address is very simply hello@medtechinnovator.org or medtechinnovator.asia. Thanks again, and we hope to see you in 2024. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Great rest of your day, everyone.